Let's face it, whether you're just reading through your first D&D player's handbook or a 20-year vet, one thing we have in common is love of the lore of a good dungeon crawl. While there's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned grid paper dungeon, today's video will cover the basics of casting dungeon pieces with Hirst Arts molds. This is my basic setup for casting Hirst Arts dungeon pieces, and I will link all the necessary and recommended equipment in the description below. I use a dental stone called Stone 4, and I purchased it from a company called Plaster Guys in the US. There are many products you can purchase, but I recommend using the product with the highest comprehensive strength rating that you can purchase. Here I've measured out a few cups and have my paper towels ready. To start building your basic dungeon tiles, you'll need molds 70 and 260. There are an assortment of additional molds like mold 80 that you can purchase that will enhance your pieces, but these two molds will be a solid investment to start your collection. Although you can mix your dental stone by sight, I recommend an inexpensive digital scale with a tare function. The tare function will zero out the weight of your mixing cup and allow you to get precise, accurate measurements. You'll want to carefully and slowly mix in the powder into your water, taking time to rotate and letting it dissolve. This video is sped up, but take your time with this step. There's no need to rush. And then you're going to want to go ahead and mix it until you get it about the consistency of a milkshake. Another good optional purchase, not required, is to invest in a dental shaker. This will help you get all the air bubbles that get trapped in the molding process out, and it'll give you smooth, clean casts. It's not necessary at first. I'd just go ahead and start casting, see if you like it first before you start investing that kind of money. But I did it, and I'm very happy I did. It really made my casts super smooth and almost totally bubble free. One essential item is a surfactant. You'll just spray this combination into the mold and then bang out the excess to help the plaster go in. Pouring from a little bit of altitude while the table is buzzing. I pour in my mixture, getting all the pockets full, trying to pour it on the actual sides of the molds instead of directly into the holes so I don't trap any excess air bubbles. If you don't have a shake table, you can always use put the molds kind of on a book and tap underneath of it. Bruce shows this method on his website, and that was very helpful starting out to kind of get the air bubbles out of the pocket. You can also make a cheap shake board, gluing some pieces of sponge to a board and lightly tapping it while you pour your plaster in. Once you pour your plaster in, you're going to let it want to sit for a few minutes. Depends on your temperature and other factors like the material you're using. But you're going to want to take your 4-inch trowel there and gently scrape off the excess plaster. And then if you see that you have some pockets that are a little bit empty, you can use the excess to fill that back in before it hardens up and cures. You can see in the top middle of your camera. I've used some of the excess from one and poured it into the other to make it full. And once you're done that, I let it sit for about 15 or 20 minutes just to make sure everything's hardened up. And then go ahead and pull out my pieces. And this is really satisfying to me for some reason. I just enjoy all the different pieces coming out and the mess it kind of makes. I don't know, I'm weird. This is the dragon mold. I'll show you some of the close-ups here in a second. The nice thing about getting your system down once you start playing around with this is I use wax paper to clean up most of the mess. I throw that in a garbage bin underneath my desk. Take some fresh wax paper, slap it down, place the molds back, and they're ready to pour the next casting. And usually I'll rotate 6 to 9 different molds at any given time to start building up pieces.